Welcome. I am delighted to welcome everyone here to the PPC Design and Innovation Community. My name is Emily Leonzik, and I am the Director of Operations. Over the last few years, we've had several leaders in the industry across the country work together to curate this peer-to-peer network where designers at every stage of their career have a place to connect, share stories, learn from one another, and explore the role of design and innovation in our industry. Before I introduce our topic and our speaker for today, I'd like to give a shout out to our design and innovation sponsor, Clearwater Paper. And not only is Clearwater Paper a premier brand, private brand manufacturer, producer of high quality paperboard products, but their team is dedicated to serving our industry, to supporting the PPC and helping grow the pie for all of us. So I'm really thankful to Clearwater Paper, not only for sponsoring today's event, but for continually helping us all grow the pie. Today, we're talking about a topic we haven't explored in my years here recently, which is accessibility. I know that I serve on a local not-for-profit, and we serve individuals with different abilities, and we kind of hem and haw. I'm not an expert on the topic between using terminology of different abilities and disabilities. Nonetheless, accessible design is the unique process where individuals who have different abilities are considered. I looked up the exact definition of accessible design, and I noted something that I thought was pretty integral to this webinar, and that the characteristics of accessible design means that the product, the service, or the facility is able to be independently used by people with a variety of disabilities. So that's interesting, and I have more questions for Victoria later on. But that key was independence for me. I'm next proud to introduce our speaker today, the founder of VictoriaLand Beauty and innovator and disability rights activist at the Cyrus system, VictoriaLand. I'll let her share her story and determination to offer the visually impaired the same ability to experience and enjoy beauty as all of us sighted folks. This is meant to be an interactive webinar, and it's meant to curate conversation. So we have a presentation by Victoria, and then I would really encourage you to use the chat, throw your hand up, ask questions. We want to create conversation. Although I will remind you that we do have competitors on this call. PPC staff will be monitoring for antitrust compliance, and so be mindful of the things that you discuss here. And without further ado, please take it away.
Hello, my name is Victoria Watts, the founder and creator of the Cyrus system of raised universal symbols. Today I am here to share with you my journey to create a universal packaging solution that makes packaging accessible for everyone, and to emphasize the importance of accessibility and why it should be a top priority in your next packaging design project. Before my son Cyrus was born, I never thought much about product accessibility. Sure, I had my share of mishaps, grabbing the wrong product in the shower when I had soap in my eyes, or frustrations struggling to read the fine print on the product package even with my glasses on. But I never gave these minor inconveniences much thought until we learned that our youngest child Cyrus was born blind. I remember one night when I was giving him a bath, I noticed that all of the products were all packaged in similar shaped bottles, without any braille or tactile markings to help distinguish one product from another. I started to think, how will he be able to bathe independently when he's older? How will he be able to use the daily products that we all use independently and safely? It was in that moment that I became determined to create a solution to offer the visually impaired the same ability to experience and enjoy products independently and safely. When I started to dive into this problem more, I quickly learned that the low vision consumer has virtually been ignored when it comes to product accessibility, and are left to create their own product identification systems such as braille labels, rubber bands, and other do-it-yourself solutions. Isn't being disabled hard enough? Why isn't there a better system in place for packaging so that everyone has the ability to experience and enjoy products independently and safely? As I began my journey to create a solution, I started working alongside the Lighthouse organization to better understand the community I was designing for. My first thought was Braille. I just assumed anyone who was blind read Braille, and I think that's a very common misconception in today's society. But the truth is, less than 10% of the low vision community can read Braille. Plus, Braille is technically challenging to implement on packaging due to size and space restrictions. For those reasons, I ruled that out as a solution. Now let me ask you something. How many times have you had soap in your eyes in the shower and blindly reached for a product? Instead of grabbing the shampoo, you grab your conditioner. With many packages sharing the same profile, it's easy to make that mistake. How often have you squinted your eyes, unable to read the text or list of ingredients on the packaging because it's too small, even with your glasses? You vow never to purchase that product again. I know that's happened to me more times than I'd like to admit. Globally, there are 2.2 billion people who have some degree of vision loss. This includes people who wear glasses, contacts, and have age-related eye conditions. And it's not just people with vision loss who struggle with distinguishing one product from another, but also consider people with learning disorders like dyslexia and foreign language speakers. Regardless of the category you fall into, product accessibility benefits all of us, and consumers are demanding brands to step up. According to Wunderman Thompson's 2022 trend report, 51% of millennials are more likely to shop a brand committed to inclusivity. 82% of consumers feel products should always be designed with disabled people in mind. 81% of consumers feel brands should be more representative in their marketing when it comes to including people with disabilities, and 61% of consumers look for an easy-to-use packaging when purchasing products. Currently, there are no packaging requirements or accessibility solutions available on the market today to address this growing need, so I set out to create one. For 2 years, I worked alongside the low vision community to learn about their challenges with product packaging to identify their needs so that I could design a highly effective system to address these needs and also provide benefits to a broader audience. After many prototypes and focus groups, I determined that by applying a raised symbol with an embossed QR code, products became instantly identifiable through touch, and product information became digitally accessible through a simple scan with your cell phone. This simple-to-use symbol system effectively addressed the needs for the low vision community while providing a better product experience for everyone. I named the system Cyrus after my son, but it's also an anagram for raised universal symbols. In 2020, I launched Cyrus as a proof of concept on my skincare line, VictoriaLand Beauty. Meet Cyrus. Cyrus is the first and only modern tactile language universally designed to make packaging accessible for everyone. Cyrus's system of raised universal symbols and embossed QR codes make it easy to identify products, learn about ingredients, and understand usage right at your fingertips. The symbols are intuitive. I liken them to emojis, so they can be instantly learned by everyone. Each Cyrus symbol is optimized for touch with the right height and thickness for easy reading. Easy to learn, easy to use, better for everyone. To date, the Cyrus library has grown to more than 50 symbols across 9 product categories, with plans to expand Cyrus across additional CPG categories in the future. My mission is to establish Cyrus as a universal packaging language by 2025. By speaking the same language, we can truly break down barriers. In order to achieve this, we have established the Cyrus Institute, a nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring that every brand, regardless of size, budget, staffing, and skills, can participate in Cyrus by providing the right tools tailored to the individual business reality. In collaboration with the low vision community, we have developed the Cyrus certification, a set of guidelines to ensure products are packaged to be accessible for everyone. Cyrus can be integrated into any packaging design using conventional embossing and printing techniques. However, we understand that these techniques aren't always the most affordable option for small to medium brands, which is why we developed a touch tag system to provide an affordable option to make it easier for brands to implement and test Cyrus. Brands have the option to include a touch tag in the product package for the end user to apply to the product for its instant identification. Each touch tag features a double-sided adhesive so users can further customize their location on their favorite products, and touch tags can be customized to fit any brand aesthetic. All too often, accessible packaging is not considered when designing products, especially when designing luxury products where aesthetics is critical to a brand's image and identity. This is a huge mistake. Accessibility is smart business and unlocks a huge overlooked market with money to spend. Accessibility brings added value to consumers by providing independence and equal accessibility for a better and safer product experience. It also boosts brand value and competitive edge, reduces potential legal risks, and meets the growing consumer demand for accessible packaging. The key to designing for accessibility is universal design. Universal design is based on the belief that by designing for special needs first, we create environments, services, and products that work better for everyone and might in fact inspire new ideas that don't ordinarily exist. Universal design is all around us, from wheelchair ramps to the audio alerts at a crosswalk, audiobooks, Amazon's Alexa, and bendy straws. The list goes on. And universal design truly benefits everyone. Since launching Cyrus in 2020, we have received notable press as well as Inclusivity in Design awards. Through our partnerships with the American Foundation for the Blind, where I serve on the board of trustees, and other non-related nonprofit organizations, we continue to build awareness and reach and community around Cyrus. And recently we partnered with the New York Institute for Special Needs to integrate Cyrus into their independent living skills program and begin teaching Cyrus to their students. We believe this is a great opportunity that will open the door to other schools and organizations, which will further support our mission to establish Cyrus as a universal tactile language. Lastly, we introduced touch tags to the low vision community through an influencer gifting program, and the feedback was outstanding and further validates the power and reach of Cyrus technology. The future of sight is touch. Thank you.
Victoria, we have you here with us. Thank you so much.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to share the CyR.U.S. system with your members.
Well, I have a ton of takeaways that I'd love to dig into a little bit more. But I'm wondering if we can pull up some images that we have, some still images. And if you could just kind of talk to us about these symbols and the aesthetic and how you came from where you were and these products are on the shelf. Talk to us about what we're seeing here.
Sure, absolutely. So you're looking at two of the SKUs from the VictoriaLand beauty skincare line that I founded, and looking at two of the symbols, one of which is the symbol for face moisturizer, which you can see here on the left-hand side. And on the right side is the symbol for night cream, which is the outline of a crescent moon. Back when Cyrus was first diagnosed and we learned that he was blind, I had just launched a skincare line. And I realized that, again, not thinking about packaging accessibility at all prior to this, I realized that my products that I had just launched, they weren't accessible to people like my son. So I kind of pivoted and spent the next year developing a solution that I could implement on my own skincare line to make VictoriaLand Beauty accessible to this overlooked and underserved community. And I launched the proof of concept for what is now known as the CyR.U.S. system on the VictoriaLand Beauty skincare line on 4 of the SKUs. And these are 2 SKUs that you're looking at on the screen here.
How did you go about this testing? I loved the word that you used, emojis. You liken how easy these are to use to emojis. Talk to me about the process and testing, and what did that look like?
Well, essentially it was working alongside the community. That's the most important thing. And I think that's where a lot of companies who want to be accessible for this community fail, because they don't work alongside the community to really understand their needs. So that was very crucial in designing CyR.U.S. So just working with them and understanding, what would make sense for, the symbol ideation for particular products. How did the symbols need to be designed so they were fluid? Because, if you're blind, you're going to be using the tip of your finger to trace that. So it was a lot of misses. Obviously, we've had a hit, but it was a lot of trial and error to make sure that the symbols, number one, made sense, and number two, that they were designed in a way to be fluid for somebody that is using touch to identify the products.
Mm-hmm. You talk a lot about, that there are currently no packaging labeling requirements to help identify products. I'm sure along your journey, you've researched many different things. Can you talk about, what else is out there and how your product compares, or any kind of key takeaways from your research, particularly to those with vision loss?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, we've seen a handful of brands incorporate Braille into their packaging, which is great. Hey, it's better than doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that less than 10% of the low vision community can actually read Braille, and I think it's such a common misconception, I think, in our society, because I know that I thought everyone, or mostly everyone, that was blind read Braille. So again, a handful of brands have adopted that, but the problem there is that it reaches a very niche audience. So that's something that would never become a standardization on packaging, because it doesn't reach a broad enough audience. And, there are other brands that have come out with different, tactile, different embellishments on their packaging that could potentially help distinguish like what brand it is and whatnot. But that's few and far between. It's not a standard on packaging. It's something that we occasionally see, but currently there just isn't a standardized system in place. And that's what we really need to create systems change, because that is what is going to change things for this community, is full-on standardization, not just one brand like VictoriaLand Beauty, but every brand adopting this language and including it on their packaging.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. I'm going to open up the floor. If anybody would like to unmute themselves, ask questions specifically about the Cyrus symbols or about Victoria's journey. I think that, you did a really nice job kind of bringing home the point that not only are you serving a community, an underserved community. If there's anything I take away from today, it's even that, that 10% or less understand Braille. And I think we all think of Braille as, oh yeah, that's what individuals use. So that's pretty powerful. But I think you've done a really nice job at kind of countering too, to say it's also smart business, and there is an ROI. I'm going to open up to some questions here. How many symbols are in the library to date?
There are a little over 50 symbols across 9 product categories.
Wow. Can you kind of rattle off some of the different symbols for me?
Well, we have, you saw the ones for skincare. So let's go into some other ones. We have body wash, which is a 2 vertical curved lines with a straight line down the middle. We have body wash, which is 2 vertical lines, 2 vertical wavy lines. We have, eye cream, which is an inverted triangle. Face oil, which is the outline of an oil drop. Serum, which is, I'll give you one more, serum, which is the outline of 2 oil drops vertically stacked. And again, trying to make the symbols make sense for the products that they represent, because this is a language that, and I'll go back to your emoji question, this is a language that can easily be learned, just like we've learned emojis. And really, for those of us who were born sighted, we've navigated our life through symbols: stop symbols, yield symbols, restroom symbols, handicap symbols, no smoking symbols. So the idea behind this was to make this language extremely easy for people to use, because beyond just making products accessible for people with low vision, it really creates a better product experience across the board for those who do struggle, like myself, with my even with my glasses on, I struggle with today's packaging, which usually is packaged in generic or stock packaging, and they all look and feel the same.
I'm gonna ask you one more question off of what you have, and then I'm gonna go to some of our hands raised. The question about the symbols was around education. Is there any community education for how to use the symbols, or do you have a preferred method for kind of that education of someone new who's using a product with that symbol?
Absolutely. So with our touch tag system that we have audible instructions. So you scan the QR code that is embossed on the touch tag sheet, and it pulls up a video. It gives you audible instructions on how to use the touch tags, but furthermore gives you a description of each of the products, each of the symbols, to further, teach the low vision community what these symbols mean. And like I had mentioned previously, the Cyrus language has been integrated into the teachings to the low vision community, to start integrating that into early learning, to get this community to learn this system. And for someone that's sighted, it's pretty, again, if we can learn emojis, what they mean, we can learn what this simple system means.
Absolutely. You don't see just emojis on the cell phone. There's an emoji movie. There's the emojis have now almost become
everywhere.
Universal. Yeah. I see a hand raised on us. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you. All right, Victoria, any language, when it starts with symbols or pictures, then it evolves into letters. But the challenge in any language when it's first introduced is the number of symbols. Right now, you're covering about 50 plus symbols, as I understand. But what I don't think that this will cover the variety of what's on the market now. If we want to make it a universal symbol that will be taught like Braille. Braille is very universal to the point that you can describe anything with it. But as symbols, like, let's say that you want like some lotion, how they can distinguish between baby lotion and adult lotion, or something with fragrance, certain fragrance. So what I'm saying is that the more variety we have of products, the more complicated this language will become. And is there a way that we can make it even simpler when there's a big variety of products?
Well, that's a great question, and definitely something that I have thought about. And understanding that I designed this obviously for the low vision community. It has benefits for everyone, but the low vision community was the audience that I designed for. When you're thinking about the low vision community, they don't have 3 different types of body wash. They don't have 3 different types of moisturizer. They have one of those, right? So it was very important to keep this as simple as possible. And what I did to account for getting more granular into what products are is by incorporating a QR code on the packaging that is raised, because if you're visually impaired, you're not able to normally see that, but you could feel it. And when you scan it, it gives you an audio instructions. It gives you all of the information about the product. And at that point, you can get more granular with that product information. That makes sense.
I'm a person with a low vision problem, but not completely blind. But assuming the QR code is there, a completely blind person, how can they locate that?
They can locate it if it's raised or embossed.
Okay.
And they're able to, their phone is able to pick that up, and through their screen reader technology, which most people that are low vision do have that screen reader technology on their phones, they are able to access that information. Now, as you all know, QR codes have been around since I think like the early 90s. Now we've seen, that now since COVID, they're everywhere. And you can do a lot with a QR code. You can link it to a web page or product page, and their screen reader can read out all of that information. Or you can do what I did on my VictoriaLand skincare line, is I created an audio file with all of the product information that was on the package, just to make it easier. And honestly, as a sighted person, I would much rather hear the information than try to read the small print on a web page. So there's many ways you can use the QR code to relay the information and make it digitally accessible for everyone.
Great. Great questions. Thank you, Victoria. I'm going to move to a different topic. John Turner from FM Howell asked, are the symbols free to use or are they governed in some way? And Brian also asked, which, kind of under the same question, standardization, potential legal, regulatory pathways. So can you talk to us about that aspect of copyright governance and any type of legal restrictions?
Sure. Well, this Cyrus system is proprietary and it's governed under the Cyrus Institute, which is our nonprofit. And we set up and created, working alongside the low vision community, the Cyrus certification seal. So essentially that was created to not only guide brands through the adoption of Cyrus to make this process easy and share our knowledge of, how high it needs to be embossed, what is the size ranges, et cetera, but it was to just protect it as a universal language and to ensure that a brand that wants to incorporate Cyrus does it correctly, because this symbol system serves a function. It's not meant to just be applied onto a package in your, traditional printing techniques. It's supposed to be raised to a certain height so that people can use it, because it does serve that need or serve that function for the low vision community.
Yeah. We were really inspired when we were talking to you about how universal design, it doesn't just fill one need. It opens us up for solutions in many different ways. Could you talk to us a little bit about your research around it? You talked about bendy straws, Alexa, and just generally designing for accessibility and how that can open up a world of opportunities and innovation, particularly speaking to our design and innovation network here. Could you talk to us about some other items, solutions that you've done research around that was really inspiring to you?
Sure. I mean, universal design is, again, people have been designing from that lens, for a very long time. But the problem is that we as society, we don't even realize what around us it has been universally designed for people with disabilities that we all enjoy at the same time. And that's the beauty of universal design, is it really does unlock accessibility, and it's just better design across the board because it's inclusive, but it also makes the experience better for everyone else. And as I mentioned in the presentation, we have curb cuts, we have wheelchair ramps. And I know as a mother of 4, I appreciated the curb cuts and I appreciated the wheelchair ramps when I was pushing my stroller along. And you have audiobooks that was actually created by initially by the American Foundation for the Blind, for the blind, and we all enjoy them. You have exo grips. I don't know how many people are familiar with those, but that was created for people with mobility issues. But it's a great design. We all use it. So it's really, there's so many examples that are around us. Most people just don't understand or realize that these things were actually created first for people with disabilities, but benefit all of us.
Really inspiring. Okay, coming back to the Cyrus system, we have a couple questions. This one from Stacy: is there a long-term plan to apply this to other products like food, beverage, medical? And then where are you teaching this? And I know that you answered some of those questions in the questions before, but can you talk to us about expanding to different products?
Sure. I mean, my goal and mission is to expand Cyrus across all CPG categories. This isn't obviously an issue that's exclusive to personal care and beauty and home care. It's a problem across all product packaging and all product categories. So that is the overall mission, is to expand that across additional CPG categories. And educating, again, I will emphasize, we were doing a lot of education on social media through our marketing efforts and things like that, just further introducing the symbols, what they mean. We've done a lot of focus groups with users, and the retention on Cyrus has been excellent. So people that go through the system, whether it's looking at the symbols and reading what the symbols identify, or if you're low vision, going through the audio descriptions that we provide, the retention rate has been quite impressive. So it just further emphasizes that this is a very easy language to learn. And with any new language, it's obviously there is a learning curve, but with time, this will just become, you know, a language that everyone can recognize, similar to all the other symbols we have learned without even realizing that we've learned them throughout our lives.
Absolutely. The next question from Dylan: are there multiple sizes for the exact same thing? And would they require multiple symbols? I know that we kind of talked about this before at our original question. But do you have any symbols to indicate size, one to indicate what the product is as a whole? So I think it's kind of coming back to that, question of multiple symbols. Can you talk about sizes and multiple symbols, or if that's been a consideration?
Sure. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is he asking about, are there multiple sizes, meaning can the symbol be applied in a variety of different sizes, or is he asking?
I think there are two questions here. I think one, and if Dylan's on, I invite you to come ask the question. But I think it's kind of hitting back to what Anas had talked about relative to a baby or an adult size, and maybe some multiple symbols. But I think that the first question is sizing. So if you have a big item or a small item, what is the design size?
Yes, exactly. So, and again, this is another reason why we created the Cyrus certification seal, because that has a range of how small the symbols can be to how large they can be for somebody with low vision to be able to identify it with their index finger with touch. So there is a range. So yes, these symbols can be applied to smaller packaging to larger packaging. There is a significant range there.
Fantastic. And I think you already answered this question that, kind of the multiple symbols is not something that you've introduced yet because of the addition of the QR code. Anything else you want to respond to on that question about putting multiple symbols together?
I mean, we are working towards, some specificity. So, perhaps we have a symbol that will denote anti-aging. We have a symbol that denotes, with sunscreen. So we're doing some things that we have yet to introduce, but we are doing some things that are easy. But the trick is we don't want to make this too complicated. We want to make this as simple as possible. So while we're okay with getting a little granular, with so many different products out there and so many different variations of products, it's almost kind of impossible to account for all of those, which is why the symbol system is so effective when you have the raised symbol and you also have the embossed QR code, where you can house that information that can give you that more detailed scope.
Yeah, fantastic. Any other questions? I invite.
If I may unmute really quick.
Please.
Okay, so the reason why I ask my question is simply because of instances where somebody requires, let's say, 5 milligrams of a medication, but somebody else requires like 250 milligrams. There's a significant difference there, and that's the only real distinguished. Yeah,
I see what you're saying, and that is something we will tackle when we get into pharmaceuticals, which we have not tackled yet. We have a lot of categories to tackle, as we move on. But yes, that is definitely something that will certainly be addressed when we get to that category.
Okay.
And it's a great point, Dylan. Thank you for bringing that up.
Fantastic question. All right, here's one more. Good design always takes both function and aesthetics into account, and this seems to do both very well. Could you talk a little bit more about how you created the system to be functional for the visually impaired community while also being eye-catching for the sighted community? Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Great. Yeah, I mean, part of, when I set out to create this, it wasn't just about being exclusive to my skincare line. It was about making this available and making this across the board with every, brand, every product category. So obviously in doing that, I needed to make sure that the symbols I were creating were pleasing, visually appealing to people. And that was a huge consideration because, accessibility is often overlooked when comes to packaging line due to the aesthetics and the brand image and all of that. So we wanted to make it the system and the symbols where they could be integrated into any packaging design, and they could be integrated whether they're, stand out, they could be the focus of someone's packaging design, or they could be more muted, smaller, or not necessarily hidden, but something that's not so prominent. So we wanted to give flexibility to brands on how they wanted to, how they would like to, offer Cyrus on their packaging.
Yeah. Subtle and still sleek, and serving a purpose.
Exactly. And these symbols, they can be, again, integrated into any packaging design, custom molds and whatnot, and then there's also the touch tags, which they're fully customizable, can be printed in any finish, anything that you want to align with your brand aesthetic.
Wonderful. Any other questions? All right. Victoria, I'm just going to recap here. The key takeaways: you absolutely delivered. Consumers with vision loss, the aging population, people with learning disorders have virtually been ignored when it comes to product packaging design. And there's currently no packaging and labeling requirements to help identify products. Accessibility should be a top priority in packaging design. Consumer demand for easy to use and identify in product packaging is building. Accessibility is smart business. There is an ROI. Universal design unlocks accessibility and benefits for everyone. And the CyR.U.S. system is the only easy and affordable accessibility solution available today for product packaging. You've really helped inspire our community. How can people, if they are interested in connecting, to learn more, to build friendship, what's the best way for them to reach out to you, Victoria?
Well, the best way to reach out to me is to visit the CyR.U.S. system website, cyrussystem.com, and there is a contact us button, and you just submit your name, and I will, be in touch with you if you are interested in learning more about the CyR.U.S. system and, becoming CyR.U.S. certified. That's the best way to reach out. That's the best way to reach me.
Thank you, Victoria, for your heart to make a difference, fill this need to educate us, to inspire us. I'd like to thank Clearwater Paper again for sponsoring this event, bringing together our design and innovation community. I encourage you to take a look at some of the folks on this call, and reach out, continue to curate conversation, build our network across the country, and continue to promote this peer-to-peer network and conversation, and how can we continue to elevate the industry and bring accessible packaging design into 2024. So thank you, Victoria, very much. I thank you all for joining us today. A copy of this recording will be available, and we look forward to being in touch with you all soon.